What is entity? Can you unmute your mic and speak? What is entity?
Sir, entity is basically a thing.
Yes, please speak loudly. Saurabh.
Sir, sir, entity is basically a thing like a person. For example, a person is an entity.
Yes. Please try to define what is an entity.
Sir, the name or the heading of the schema.
Okay. Correct. Any other students can define entity?
Any real world object.
The object in a diagram.
Yes. Good. Good, Bhaskar. Any other student? Or let me call your name. Anuj. Anuj Sharma. Please unmute your mic and define what is entity. Anuj. Anuj, are you there? Are you listening? Even if you don't know about the entity, please unmute your mic and speak. If your mic is not working, please respond in chat. Anuj. Okay. Other student, let me call Avinash Daroga. Avinash,
Yes, sir.
can you define entity?
Sir, in database, any physical entity or real world entity about that property attributes are defined.
Okay. Okay. You are little bit okay. Correct. Aksita Parasa,
Yes, sir.
please tell me about entity.
Sir, entity it can be a set of attributes and it can be a real world object with some existence.
Okay, good. Aksita is correct. Okay. Yes, good. Then we have seen entity. Entity we represent using this rectangular box. Then attribute are the characteristic or property of entity. Okay. Then we have seen relationship is the association between entity, or we can say what how these entity are related. Okay, we represent this using this diamond or rhombus. And the link is just how we link attribute or attribute with entity and entity with relationship. Okay. And when two times we draw this oval, we call it a multi-valued attributes, which can store multiple value of an attribute. Okay. Then we've seen derived attribute using this dotted oval. Then these two timelines, it shows the total participation. If you remember, we have defined when there is a relationship between two entity and one entity is participating in that relationship for its existence, then that kind of relationship or this kind of entity is called the total participation. If it is not participate, then it's not exist. Okay. Then we have this presentation is two line dot, we connect the relationship with an entity with two lines. Then we have discussed about the weak entity. Weak entity is the entity which does not any key attribute, means there is no attribute which uniquely identify that entity. Then two times this rhombus or diamond is called the weak relationship, or if you remember, it's identifying relationship. We are giving an identity to an entity to participate. We are giving an identity to any weak entity. Like if you remember the relationship, employee has employee record, and employee record, if you see carefully, it's a weak entity, and it's participating in this relationship, and we are using this relationship where we are identifying that insurance record. Okay, as you know, employee has pan number. Using this pan number, we are identifying insurance record. Okay, means using this relationship, we are identifying that entity. Okay, represented by two times this diamond. Then we have discussed composite attribute. Okay, like name, address. So we draw oval, and this sub oval with its means name, and the first oval represent the first name, and the next oval is represent the last name. This kind of attributes composite attribute. And the key attribute, we represent the key attribute with oval shape, and what the name is, what is the name of key, we just draw underline it. Okay, it shows that it's a key of that attribute. This is the key attribute of that entity. Okay, all this thing we have discussed. So now let's draw an actual ER diagram for any database. Okay, so for drawing any entity relationship diagram, we used a tool is called the dia tool. So all of you need to download this dia tool from the internet and draw this ER diagram. Okay, so I'm just showing how you can download it. You just write in search dia tool. Okay, download it from any source. You can download. I'm sure you are all are very capable for downloading. Okay, so please download it and draw the ER diagram. I have downloaded this dia tool, so I'm just showing you. My computer screen is visible to all of you. If it is visual, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the interface of this dia tool. Using this dia tool, we can draw the ER diagram, or other diagram as well you can draw. Okay, so for this you just see here it's written ER. If you first time you will download it and open it, you will not see ER here. Okay, so you will see only a sorted flowchart in UML. Okay, ER will not be there. Okay, so go to the other sheet and drag it from there. Okay, like there is an ER diagram is available, just click on ER diagram, so then it is visible on your this shortcut. Okay, so select ER. Okay, then now let's draw ER diagram for a company database. Now I want to draw a ER diagram for company database. So first identify what are the entity in company database. What are the entities of company database? Please unmute your mic, or even you can write in chat box. What are the entities in company database?
Complaints.
Yes, please speak. Hey, you are not properly audible. Please speak again. Employee, yes. The one response I'm getting from Kriti, she's written employee. Yes, good, correct. Any other? देखिए आपकी जो क्लास है वो द सेम टाइम मैं भी उतना ही आप लोगों से एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा हूँ कि आप रिस्पॉन्ड करेंगे. ये क्लास ऐसी नहीं है कि बस मैं ही बता रहा हूँ, आप लोग सुन रहे हैं नहीं सुन रहे हैं मुझे पता नहीं. ठीक है, फॉर्मेलिटी के लिए क्लास नहीं है. फॉर्मेलिटी करनी है तो आप प्लीज ये क्लास ज्वाइन मत कीजिए.
Sir, department.
यस, गुड. डिपार्टमेंट. देखिए सोर्स रिसोर्सेज आपका जैन नंबर रिसोर्सेज मुझे पता है, आप लोग कहीं से भी पढ़ सकते हैं, कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, बट यदि आप क्लास ज्वाइन किए तो प्लीज पार्टिसिपेट. ओके. If I ask you anything, please respond. If you know or don't know, it doesn't matter. आप लोगों को कुछ पता है नहीं पता है ये मैटर नहीं करता, बट एटलीस्ट यू रिस्पॉन्ड. Okay. So from your side, I just get three entity types: employee, project, and department. So let's draw. For drawing an entity, there's an if you able to see, there is a written E. It's showing the entity. If you go or the move the cursor over the E, there is, you can see there is an entity is written over there. Okay. So let's draw entity. Again, I'm just saying how you can just click on E and click on your this window. Okay. So entity, when you right click over this entity rectangular box, you can see property. Okay. So in the property, the first is name. Set the name of entity. Suppose my entity name is employee, so I will just write here employee. This is my entity name I just set. Then next is asking it's a weak entity or weak entity. Weak entity are the entity who does not has any key attribute, but our employee, in the case of employee, there is it is not a weak entity. It's an employee ID, it's a key, or PAN number, it's maybe a key. Okay. So I'm not setting it yes. If you click on this weak, it will set yes, and then it will draw 2 times rectangle over it. Okay. So please, for the in the case of employee, it's not a weak entity. So please do not write yes. It is okay. Then associative, you just ignore it. Associative right now. Associative, I just, if you remember, I just tell you about the aggregation concept. Okay, but I'm not using it right now. Okay, so please just set it as no. Okay. And all this thing you can the font, which font you are using, the size, and all this thing. Okay. Click OK. It's not responding. 1 minute. Employee. So now I have just created one entity employee. Now let's draw, or let's write attribute of employee. What are the attribute of employee? Again, please write in chat what do you think about the attribute of employee.
Sir, name, age,
Write in chat.
work report.
1 minute. Please write in chat, everybody. What are the attribute of employee? Employee ID, yes. Yes, employee ID. Name, yes, good. Okay, now I'm sure you have cleared what are the attributes. Okay, so draw the attributes. Just select, if you can see there is a draw an written A over under this oval. So select it and click on this diagram. So now you can see then as attribute is here, shown here. Okay, again click right click on this attribute and property. Set the name of attribute as such, the name of employee. So write the name. Set it is this attribute is a key. No, name is not a key attribute in this employee case. Is it a weak key? Just forget it. Is derived attribute? No. It's multi attribute? No. So just set everything is okay. Now set other attribute, like I want to as an employee ID. The employee ID, is it key? Yes. So just click on yes. Okay. It's a derived multi-value. Just okay. So now you can see. Wait, some problem. Employee ID. Key. Okay. Okay. Now you can see this employee ID. There's an underline. Means it's showing it's a key attribute. Let's draw. Let's write other attributes. It's not selecting. Other attribute of employee is like age, and you can see, you can set as derived as yes. Age is a derived attribute. Okay. So you can see this is draw as a dotted line. Okay. Then set another attribute. Okay. The next attribute you can say what I mean, see what you have written. Employee designation, yes, good. Salary of employee, good. Post, address, yeah, yes. Everybody's response are correct. Okay. So let's write address. Address. Now address can be multi-valued. Address attribute can be multi-valued attributes, means employee can have more than one address. It's local address, permanent address, this kind of address, office address. So address can be multi-valued. Okay, set is yet set multi-valued as yes. Okay, you don't know why it's creating problem. Okay, so now you can see it's double line. Okay, you can set n number of n number of attributes of any entity. Okay, so I'm just setting only 4 attribute. Okay, you can set n number of attributes. Now let's connect it using the simple line. Select any line and connect it. 1 minute. You can even use this straight line. It's creating problem. Okay. Okay, just connect it. Use your this tool and so I've just created one entity employer with some with several attributes. Okay, let's do another entity. Just select E and drag it here. Okay, like other attribute we are defining as department. Okay, department. Okay, is it weak or not? You just set is it no and set okay. Okay, what are the attributes of department? Please write in chat. Okay, first I can say it's a department ID and it is a key attribute. So you set yes, okay. And the next attribute is department name, name of the department, and you can say its name. Let's show this. Let me show what's your responses. Address, designation, department number, name, name of department, location, yes, head of the department, good, good. All our responses are correct. Okay. So next is you can set as a location, good. Location. Okay. Now, what is the relationship between these two entities, employee and department? So set the relationship. Just select R and drag it here. Okay. So again, if you right click over this relationship icon, you can see the property. Set the name of relationship. What is the relationship between employee and department? Employee works for department. Okay. Works for is the relationship. Okay. Now it's asking me rotate. You just forget about the rotate. Identifying this relationship, identifying relationship or not. Identifying is the relationship. It is giving the identity to any and weak entity. But in this case, both the entity are the strong, so there is no need to set yes. Okay. Click OK. Works for and let's connect it. Employee and department. The next concept, if you remember, the cardinality ratio. Cardinality ratio. Cardinality ratio says that how many entities are participating in that relationship. Now you can see employee and department. What is the cardinality of this relationship works for? Again, please write in chat. What is the cardinality ratio of this relationship works for? Two. And other student, please response. Please respond. M and MS to N. 1:1. Good. N:1. Good. 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 Okay. So now you can set as cardinality ratio using this. If you can see the T icon here is just showing the text and right at side of the employee, how many employee can work for the department and number of employee can work for the department. So it is N:1 and n number of employee can work for one department. Means so there's at the department side you will just write the cardinality as 1. Okay. So it's showing the N:1 relationship. Okay. Even you can write the cardinality ratio over this relationship. Okay. Like here. You can write N:1 here as well in this way. Okay. Both way of representation are correct. Okay. Both are correct. You just write at the entity side or you can write over the relationship. Both the way of writing the cardinality ratio is correct. Okay. So I'm just using this N:1 like in this way. Okay. So I'm just removing this. Okay. But both are the correct. Okay. No problem. Okay. Now let's write one more entity type. like project. Project. It is weak if project entity is not a weak because it's just a project ID. This kind of attribute you can set. Okay. So now again, please mention the attribute of project. Project has a name, project name. Project has its ID, project ID you can say, or simple ID. It's a key, so please set as yes. Okay. Now let's connect it with its attribute. And what is the relationship between department and project? Just draw a relation. 1 minute. The relationship between project and department are handles. Department handles project. Okay. So this is the handle relationship, and let's connect it. Now you can see this handle relationship and project is a relationship में total participation relationship means if this project is not participate in this handles, it's not exist. Means there's a total participation. So you can draw or connect this project with relationship is two line. So now you can see there's a two parallel line. So when you move the cursor over this, there's a written participation constraint, total participation constraint. So again, draw this two line here. Okay. Now click over this line and see the property. It's asking it's total or not. So now it's total participation. So please set is yes. Now see, it's to draw automatically two line. It is showing project is participating in this relationship for its existence, means total participation. Is it clear to all of you? Okay. Now, what is the relationship between employee and project? What is the relationship between employee and project? Employee works in a project or works on project. So you can write, you can give any name. Okay. What do you think the correct name? Okay. Again, set one relationship between these two entity. What the name we can give? Please response in chat. What the name we can give this employee and project? Working on, good. Let me see what's your response is. Working on, work on, yeah, depend on. Yes, good. Works on, yeah, good. Works on are the good name. You can give any name. I'm just writing what you respond. Works works on. It's identifying or not identifying, you can give name. Okay. Now, the one more thing we have discussed is the attribute of relationship. Now, how many? Suppose first set the cardinality ratio of this employee and project. Okay. So, what should be the cardinality ratio of this employee and project? What should be the cardinality ratio of this MS to N? Yes, good. So, the cardinality ratio of this employee and project is MS to N. M number of employee can work and number of projects, means there's a chance an employee is working more than one project. Okay. Just again I'm repeating, there's a chance an employee is working on more than one project. Okay. And in project there's a number of employee working. So the relationship is MS to N. Okay. And then the one attribute, number of hours. Suppose an employee is working on particular project for in a day 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour. Suppose the employee is working on 3 project and each project is given some different times. One for one project 2 hour, one project for 2 hour, and another project for 3 hour. Okay. So there is a chance there is one attribute of this relationship hours. Now this R attribute is the attribute of this relationship. Okay. So using this concept, you can draw any ER diagram. Okay. Now let's create one more relationship, employees with employees. Now you can see all these relationships are the binary relationship. Means in this relationship, there are two entities are participating. Now see one relationship, it's reports to employee. There's an employee and one a number of employee can report. There is one superior or there is a boss. So there is a chance there is one relationship reports to. Reports to. Okay. Now, can you tell me what is the cardinality ratio of this relationship reports to? It's a little bit tricky. So I'm asking from your side. Can you answer? One is to N. Good. Okay. So in this relationship, you have to mention the what I can say, some side, which side you are showing employee and which side it's employee, it's not employee, it's staff, and the other side are the boss. Okay. So if this side is showing subordinates, or we can say boss, let's see, it's a boss. This end is showing the boss. it's showing the subordinates. Subordinates. Okay. Now this end showing subordinates and so this side is showing the boss. So this is the relationship. The cardinality is there is an n number of subordinates. N number of subordinate are reporting to one boss. Okay, so you can say it's a ns-to-1 relationship if read from the subordinates to boss. I'm sure it's confusing for you, but try to understand. Okay, if we read this relationship from the subordinates to boss, it's ns-to-1. If we read this relationship boss to subordinates, it's 1:n. Okay, so it's depend on from which side you are reading this relationship. Okay, so there's one more way to read the way using you can use arrow. Okay, so there's a starting arrow and ending arrow is set. Ending arrow is the direction. So now it's you are showing read this relationship from this direction to this direction. 1 minute, it's just draw form. Okay, so now I'm showing this. Please read this relationship from this end to this end. So now the cardinality ratio will change. It will be 1:n. Okay, so you can even use your arrows sign in your ER diagram. Okay, so showing you just showing your viewer to read in this way. Okay, employee reports to employee, and the first is boss is boss relationship to subordinates. So there's an one boss and there's an n number of subordinates are possible. Okay, also the n number of subordinates can reports to one boss. Okay, so in this way you can draw ER diagram in this tool, dia tool. Now how you can save this ER diagram? Just go to save as and save it at which location, whatever location you can give, and this is saved in this format. You can see the extension is dia, but you want to take the printout or you just want to uh, take in the form of image or PDF. So just click on export and select the type. Okay, there's an n number of types are available. Okay, select any types. Now I'm just saving it as an image, so just select JPG and this way and save it. Okay, the location is picture. Now I can show you it is stored at location picture, and this is the diagram in image file. File. Okay, so in this way you can draw ER diagram of any database. Okay, and there's an n number of option available in this dia tool. You can explore by yourself. Okay, I'm sure you are very know about all these things, so you can explore a number of options and use it in your ER diagram. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear to all of you? Now you can respond. The concept is clear. Before drawing any ER diagram, first you have to know the concept. What is entity? What is relationship? What are the attributes? What are the type of attributes? How we can show the cardinality ratio, total participation, identifying relationship. If you know all these things, you can easily draw any ER diagram for any database. Okay. One more thing I want to draw in aid in this diagram is that composite attribute. Okay, so composite attribute, you can just consider name is a composite attribute. Just write the name and let's draw the sub attributes of this attribute name. Okay, the first is first name. Okay. And last name or middle name, a number of sub attributes you can define. Last name, okay, and connect it with a simple line. Okay, so now this name is a composite attribute and its sub attributes are the first name and last name. Okay, address is the multiple attribute. Everything I'm sure it's clear to all of you. So this is the all about ER diagram. So now see one minute. ER diagram. Okay, so let's see one thing. When company asks you to make any functional DBMS or database creation, what are the steps we follow? Okay, when you are creating a real database for any company or any organization, what are the steps we follow to create a database? First, gather information. It could be a written document that describe the system or the question and the reasonable amount of detail or what the company or the organization is does. Everything they will describe you. Okay, in the orally or in the written document. Or in case of the orally, you will write in the written document. Then in this way, you can gather the information from the organization. Okay, then after getting the information, we produce ER diagram or draw the ER diagram or the entity relationship diagram. Okay. The ER diagram or entity relationship diagram is a diagrammatically representation of the description we have gathered about the system. Okay. After drawing the ER diagram, what we have discussed till this point, we will design the database. Means out of this ER diagram, we will take what are the entity or in the entity we will draw the table and the attribute of the table attribute of the entity we will consider as the attribute of a table, and the relationship shows the how these table are interconnected. Okay, and so in this way we will design the database, actual database. The third step we will discuss in the next class. It's a relationship database. Okay, then after creating the database in the form of table, we will remove redundancy. Okay, or the kind of impurities we will remove using applying the normalization. It's the next after relationship database we will see the normalization. Normalization is the way of removing impurities and redundancy from the database. Okay, so these are the simple steps we follow to create any database. Okay, so first how we prepared ER diagram from the document. Okay, just let's consider there's an document and there's a written one line. A boy eats an ice cream. So in this statement, how we will identify what are the entity, what are the relationship, what are the attribute. Okay. In this line or the statement, you can see a boy eats ice cream. So a boy and ice cream are the entity, and eats is the relationship. So you can read all this thing about I've just written here. The statement state 2 to create ER diagram is now we have to prepare the ERD. Before doing that, we have to process the statement a little. We can see that the statement contains subject. What are the subject of any statement you consider as the entity? So like boy is an entity, an object is another entity, and verb, what are the verbs of your verb in your statement is so is the relationship, like eats, that define the relationship between the subject and object. Consider noun as an entity, boy and ice cream, and the verb is the relationship. To plot them diagrammatically, put the noun within the rectangle. As you can see, the entities be shown in the rectangle, and both the entities be showing in this rectangle box, and the relationship using this diamond shape. Right? And this arrow sign is just showing the read this entity in this from left to right. Boy eats ice cream. Okay, is it clear? Now let's define the attribute of entity. So what are the attribute of entity you can define? Like boy is an entity, you can define name, address, and phone number as the attribute of an entity boy, and ice cream is the one another entity, and its attribute may be a manufacturer, flavor, and price of the ice cream. Okay, so this kind of attribute can define over the entity. Okay. Now it's not enough to define the attribute of entity. Let's define some attribute of relationship as well. Okay, boy eats ice cream is not enough information. At which time boy eats ice cream? Okay, so we have to also mention the date and time. At which date on which date and what time the boy eats ice cream? We have to mention the date and time. Okay, so in this way we can draw ER diagram for any of any statement. Okay, what are the description you got from the company? You will draw ERD of that description or statement. Okay, in this way. After this, you will draw the table of this ERD. Means just what I can say converts trans ERD to your in the form of table, or you can transfer. Okay, or convert your ERD into table. So what you've written, boys will be one table, and name, address, and phone number will be the attribute of that table. Like eats will be the one table, and date and time will be the attribute of that table. Ice cream will be one table, and flavor, manufacturer, and price will be the attribute. Like you can see there's in one table we have created boy, and the table the column name or the attribute name will be name, address, and phone number. Ice cream is one another table, and the table column will be manufacturer, flavor, and price. And eats will be one table, and date and time will be the attribute of that table or the column of the table. So in this way we can create the database. Okay, we have seen from a very simple example, boy eats ice cream. From this how we can create a database. Okay. Okay, so in this way you will create ER diagram. So I will give you one assignment. You will get this assignment on your Google Classroom. You have to submit this assignment before the next class. Next class will be I think on Tuesday. So before Tuesday you will submit it. Okay. You will download the dia tool from the internet, draw that ER diagram in this dia tool, and upload it in Google Classroom. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear to all of you? In the assignment, I will just give you to draw 2 or 3 ER diagram only. Okay, there's no any theoretical question. Okay, but the condition is that you will not copy from other. Okay, other means not from your friend, not from internet. Okay, it must be your ER diagram only. It is correct or not correct anything, you will just forget it. You will just need to draw ER diagram. Okay, is it clear? Am I clear? am I clear to all of you? Okay. सो जो भी आपको मैं असाइनमेंट देने वाला हूँ, आपको ओनली 2 और 3 ईआर डायग्राम ही बनाने हैं, बट द कंडीशन इज दैट कि आपको ही बनाने हैं, ठीक है? आपको किसी फ्रेंड का ईआर डायग्राम कॉपी करके अपलोड नहीं करना है कि नहीं उससे मैंने फाइल ले ली वो वही कॉपी कर दी। यदि किसी टू असाइनमेंट्स कॉपी मिले तो दोनों के मार्क्स 0 होंगे, ठीक है? अब अश्योर कीजिए आपको जो भी असाइनमेंट दिया वो आप किसी से शेयर ना करें। आप जो भी बनाएंगे ईआर डायग्राम वो किसी और क्लासमेट्स या आपके फ्रेंड के साथ शेयर नहीं करना है, ठीक है? यदि किसी भी 2 स्टूडेंट्स के ईआर डायग्राम सेम हुए तो दोनों को 0 मार्क्स दिया जाएगा उस असाइनमेंट में, ठीक है? तो आपको श्योर करना है कि आपको कॉपी नहीं करना है, इंटरनेट से भी कॉपी नहीं करना है, आपको अपने खुद के ईआर डायग्राम बनाना है। वैसे तो इंटरनेट पे आपको मिलने वाला है नहीं, ठीक है? फिर भी आपको मैं बता देता हूँ कि आपको कहीं से कॉपी नहीं करना है, ठीक है? तो ठीक है, ओके, थैंक यू। यू कैन राइट योर अटेंडेंस इन चैट, write K for kite in attendance, and if you have any doubt you can ask, otherwise leave the class.